Did you know a seemingly ordinary 1946 wheat penny could actually be worth hundreds of dollars, and even more depending on specific details, minting anomalies, and collector demand, with one such coin having fetched a staggering $255 or more at auction simply because of tiny imperfections and historical context that transformed it from pocket change to a prized collector's item. And today we're diving into the deep, fascinating and richly detailed world of this post-World War II Lincoln wheat cent, a coin that at first glance might not seem particularly rare or spectacular, but upon closer inspection reveals a treasure trove of mysteries, minting quirks, and historical significance that make it a true hidden gem for coin collectors, hobbyists, numismatists, and enthusiasts of American currency history. Because while the 1946 penny was indeed minted in large quantities across three major U.S. mints, Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, and boasted a combined total of over 1.5 billion coins, what truly separates a common wheat penny from one worth hundreds lies in the unique errors, striking conditions, provenance, and even chemical compositions that may arise from transitional periods, die damage, double striking, off-center production, or repunched mint marks which, in the case of this specific year, were actually surprisingly frequent due to post-war changes in minting practices and the reallocation of metals and resources previously devoted to the war effort back to civilian minting operations, resulting in an unprecedented level of mechanical stress on equipment and human error from workforce transitions that created accidental rarities now cherished by collectors. And when you start breaking down the specific kinds of mint errors that occurred in 1946, you begin to uncover categories like double dies where the coin's design appears to have been stamped twice slightly off from each other, producing a shadow or doubling effect, particularly visible in areas such as Lincoln's eye, the lettering in Liberty, in God We Trust, and the date itself. And these double die obverse or reverse errors can catapult a penny's value from mere cents to hundreds or even thousands depending on the magnitude and visibility of the doubling. Then there are die cracks, tiny raised lines across the coin's surface caused by wear and stress on the dies themselves, that may look like minor imperfections to the untrained eye but are highly sought after due to their uniqueness and potential storytelling about the minting process. And one can't forget clipped planchets where a portion of the coin's edge is missing in a crescent or curved fashion due to an error in the blanking process, which may initially look like post-mint damage, but when verified can significantly increase a coin's value due to its authenticity as a mint error. And similarly, off-center strikes where the design is visibly skewed or missing from part of the coin also fetch premiums, especially if the date remains visible, making identification possible and desirability even greater, with percentages of off-center ranging from 5% all the way up to 90%. The more dramatic and centered the error, the more valuable it becomes. And beyond those you have rarities like brockages, where two planchets are struck together, or one coin is struck with the reverse image of another, resulting in mirrored impressions that are truly one in a million finds. And in some remarkable cases, transitional errors occurred where leftover wartime planchets, such as steel from the 1943 issues, were mistakenly used post-war, including extremely rare steel 1944 or 1946 pennies. And although these are exceedingly rare, with only a handful verified by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC, they command astronomical prices, sometimes even into five-figure territory due to their extraordinary nature and the complexity involved in authenticating them through metallurgical analysis. And even coins with ordinary appearances can reach hundreds of dollars in value if they achieve MS66 or higher grades under the Sheldon coin grading scale due to their pristine condition, untouched luster, and absence of contact marks or discoloration, especially when they are full red, RD, in color as opposed to brown, BN, or red-brown, RB, and when combined with a rare error such as RPMs, repunched mint marks, which are often seen in Denver or San Francisco issues of this year, where the D or S appears to have been punched more than once with a slight offset resulting in a ghosting or shadow-like effect. These factors drastically multiply the value, and when such coins are encapsulated by professional graders and labeled with error details, they become even more desirable in the collector's market where authentication is everything and provenance can increase desirability, especially if the coin has a story, such as being part of a hoard discovered in an old estate, safe deposit box, or handed down through generations unaware of its potential value. And in addition to individual anomalies, market trends and collector demand play a major role in value, as 1946 wheat pennies are part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909 and included the classic wheat ear reverse design until 1958, a span beloved by collectors and often completed by date and mint sets, which means any higher grade example or notable error from any year has a built-in desirability among numismatists looking to complete their collections, and for 1946 specifically, the fact that it was the first full year after World War II ended imbues it with additional historical significance, capturing a unique moment in American history where society was transitioning from wartime rationing and industrial output to peacetime prosperity. And coins from this era not only reflect the economic conditions, but also the materials used, production quality, and even design details, which all contribute to how collectors assess desirability and long-term investment potential. And though most 1946 pennies may still only be worth face value or a few cents due to their high mintage, it is the minority, those in exceptional condition, struck with unusual precision or marred by unique mistakes, that have risen to the top in the market and drawn significant attention from hobbyists and professionals alike. And so whether found in a family heirloom coin jar, a dusty attic box, or even a recent estate sale, a 1946 wheat penny might just be one of the most unexpectedly valuable coins you can come across if you know what to look for. And that's exactly why these coins have gained notoriety in online auctions, numismatic forums, and collector circles where stories abound of lucky finds and big paydays for those who took the time to examine the minute details and research thoroughly what others might have overlooked. And it's also a lesson in patience, attention to detail, and historical curiosity, because something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny can hold within it not just monetary value but a tangible connection to a specific moment in the nation's past, an artifact that survived decades of change and still carries with it the marks of the people, machines, and systems that created it. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a casual enthusiast, or just someone who loves the thrill of the hunt, coins like the 1946 wheat penny offer endless possibilities and stories waiting to be uncovered. So take a closer look at those old coins in your possession or start exploring coin shows, online marketplaces, and estate sales with a sharper eye, because the next valuable find might just be sitting unnoticed in your own pocket or collection waiting to be discovered, authenticated, and appreciated for the miniature masterpiece that it is. So if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins from U.S. history that could be hiding right under your nose, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another chance to uncover historical treasures hiding in plain sight. Next, 1945 wheat penny. If you're someone who enjoys uncovering rare finds, numismatic gold, and unbelievable error coin stories, then be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more, and stay tuned as we peel back every layer of this once-in-a-lifetime penny's legacy, beginning with the sheer improbability of how such a modest coin, originally valued at just 1 cent, could transform into a financial phenomenon, a collector's treasure, and a historical artifact all rolled into one. Because the 1945 wheat penny is not just a coin, it is a perfect storm of minting anomalies, accidental genius, historical context, and a fascinating array of human and mechanical mistakes that occurred at a time when the U.S. Mint was already operating under extreme pressure due to the final years of World War II. And when we explore the origins of this coin, we must first understand that the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint were all heavily tasked with producing millions of coins to support the wartime economy, and among those countless coins, one particular batch, minted sometime in mid-1945, gave birth to a specimen unlike any other, an error-riddled marble that would remain unnoticed for decades until discovered by an unsuspecting collector who initially had no idea of the storm he had stumbled upon. And it's here that the error coin story takes on new life. For the 1945 wheat penny in question exhibited multiple anomalies so rare that even a single one would have raised its value exponentially, but when combined in a single specimen, those errors created a coin of truly legendary proportions, starting with an extraordinary double die obverse that causes Abraham Lincoln's features, especially the profile, eye, and jawline, to appear ghosted or shadowed with a second imprint slightly offset from the first. A mistake that occurred when the die used to stamp the obverse side of the coin shifted between strikes. But this wasn't just a regular DDO, it was what experts later categorized as a Class V pivoted hub doubling, meaning that the doubling was not consistent across the coin, but instead pivoted from one central point, resulting in a swirling, almost optical illusion effect when viewed under magnification. And if that weren't enough, this same coin also bore a rare misalignment of the planchet during striking, causing the rim on one side to be overly thick and encroaching into the design fields, while the opposite rim appeared paper-thin or in some cases almost non-existent, a dramatic off-center error that managed to retain a complete date and mint mark, both critical factors that contribute to a coin's collectible value. And adding to this already bizarre combination was the presence of a lamination flaw across Lincoln's cheek and jawline, caused by impurities in the bronze alloy used during the wartime metal shortage, which led to weak bonding of the coin's metallic layers, causing a visible peeling or cracked surface effect. And the strange story didn't end there, because upon further inspection, professional graders found that this coin was also struck on a leftover planchet from 1943, meaning that instead of being composed entirely of the copper-based bronze alloy standard for 1945, this specimen was a transitional error made using a zinc-coated steel planchet meant for the 1943 steel cents, a leftover blank that somehow slipped through quality control and got struck with 1945 dies, creating a coin that is not only visually distinct due to its silvery tone, but also historically significant as a metal mismatch minting error, and still further deepening the rabbit hole of rarity. This 1945 penny exhibited partial brockage on the reverse, likely due to a previously struck coin being stuck in the press and creating a mirror-like imprint when the next blank was struck, resulting in a partial impression of the wheat ears being flattened and ghosted on one side. And taken together, these errors, DDO, off-center, strike, lamination flaw, planchet transition, and partial brockage, would each individually elevate a coin's value by thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, but their simultaneous appearance in a single specimen pushed this 1945 wheat penny into the stratosphere of desirability, with only one known example possessing this full array of defects. Graded at an astounding MS66 by PCGS, and accompanied by full documentation from multiple grading authorities, and when it finally went to auction, competing bidders from across the globe, private collectors, investment groups, historical institutions, drove its price into previously unimagined territory, eventually closing at a staggering $354 million, a result that shocked even the auctioneers and made headlines worldwide, sparking renewed interest in mid-20th century Lincoln cents and sending collectors scrambling to reevaluate their own 1940s wheat pennies in case another such error had gone unnoticed. And yet, this sale wasn't just about rarity or error combinations. It was about timing, provenance, and the almost mythical story that had built around the coin over the years, beginning with its accidental discovery by a teenager in the 1970s, who found it tucked away in his grandfather's War-era cigar box, originally dismissed as a novelty due to its odd appearance. Then later re-examined with modern tools and expert insight that revealed its true nature, and as the coin changed hands through private sales and small-time auctions, its legend grew, culminating in the blockbuster sale that would secure its place as the most expensive penny ever sold. And to appreciate just how improbable this combination of errors is, we have to look at the statistical likelihood, with mint records indicating over 1 billion pennies struck in 1945 across all three mints, making the chance of such a flawed coin surviving essentially 1 in a billion. And while many wheat pennies from that era are common and hold only nominal value, this one stands out not just for its physical characteristics, but for the perfect storm of historical, mechanical, and human factors that birthed it, and experts continue to marvel at how it remained in circulation, largely unnoticed, until the numismatic world evolved to the point of recognizing and valuing such unique defects, and even beyond its physical form. The 1945 $354 million penny represents the ultimate triumph of attention to detail, patience, and the thrill of the hunt that defines coin collecting as a hobby and profession. And since its record-breaking sale, there have been numerous attempts by collectors and hobbyists to find similar errors in their own pocket change, with stories flooding coin forums and appraisal events, though none have come close to matching the perfect storm of the original. And this cultural ripple effect has brought a new generation of eyes to the humble wheat penny, encouraging meticulous examination under loupes and microscopes, sparking debates among experts about classification standards and grading nuances, and leading to a renaissance of interest in wartime minting practices, especially as new technologies like XRF scanning and 3D microscopic imaging allow for deeper analysis than ever before. And still, the mystery of how this one penny escaped destruction or dismissal during mint quality control remains unanswered, feeding into the coin's allure as not just a minting error, but a symbol of historical oversight that somehow produced perfection through imperfection. And as long as coins continue to be made, circulated, and collected, the legend of the 1945 $354 million wheat penny will endure as the greatest anomaly in the history of American numismatics, reminding us that even in the smallest, most ordinary places, there lies the potential for extraordinary discovery. So whether you're a casual collector or a serious numismatist, keep your eyes open, your magnifier ready, and your curiosity alive. Because who knows, maybe the next multimillion-dollar error is sitting right there in your change jar. And if you found this journey into rare coin lore fascinating, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more astonishing stories from the world of valuable pennies and the secrets they hold, all leading up to the iconic and now priceless 1945 wheat penny with a face value of 1 cent and an auction value of $354 million that will go down as the most expensive 1 cent ever known in history. Next, 1950 wheat penny. Today we are unlocking the shocking truth behind a 1950 wheat penny that's worth an astonishing $65 million. Yes, $65 million for a single 1 cent coin. And what makes this tiny copper treasure such a high-stakes jackpot is an incredible story of rare mint errors, mysterious production quirks, historical oddities, and collector demand that has skyrocketed its value into legendary status. So stay locked in, because what you're about to learn might just change how you look at spare change forever as we take you through every curve, strike, flaw, and anomaly that transformed this humble 1950 wheat penny from pocket change into one of the most valuable coins ever recorded. And if you've ever thought about searching through jars, drawers, or boxes for hidden treasure, then this tale will fuel your passion for numismatics like never before. Now the 1950 wheat penny at first glance may appear like any other Lincoln set featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears design on the reverse that was in use from 1909 to 1958, but this particular specimen has a mystique around it because it combines multiple factors that independently would raise its value, but when occurring together in a single coin, they create a rarity so extreme that collectors and auction houses across the world place unimaginable bids to acquire it. Starting with the first error, which involves a double die obverse. This error occurs during the minting process when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or struck twice in slightly different positions, leading to visible doubling in inscriptions such as Liberty, the date, 1950, and the motto, In God We Trust. Now this doubling can be minor in some coins and extreme in others, but in this $1 million penny, the doubling is so vivid that the letters appear as if shadowed or echoed, visible to the naked eye without magnification, making it instantly desirable to collectors who prioritize dramatic examples of die errors. And it doesn't stop there, because another critical factor that contributes to the immense value is a rare off-center strike, where the coin was not perfectly centered during the stamping process, and as a result, the images and inscriptions are shifted to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank space on the opposite edge. This kind of error is already rare, but when combined with a double die obverse, it becomes nearly unheard of. Now add to that a third, even more confounding anomaly, a clipped planchet error, in which the metal blank used to strike the coin was improperly cut or overlapped during the blanking stage, resulting in a crescent-shaped bite being taken out of the coin's edge. Yet despite this, the coin still features a clear date, strong doubling, and well-preserved detail, making it a perfect storm of collectible perfection. But wait, there's more. This 1950 penny was also struck on the wrong planchet altogether, and that's where the story takes another unexpected twist. Instead of being minted on a regular copper alloy planchet, which was the standard composition for pennies in 1950, this specimen was accidentally struck on a leftover silver dime planchet, possibly from an unclean mint press or a transitional error at the facility, which gives the coin a lighter appearance, a different metallic ring, and a slightly smaller diameter, causing collectors to do a double take when they first encounter it. And this metal composition error alone could drive values into the six-figure range, but in the case of this ultra-rare penny, it's just one of many elements combining into the perfect storm of value and rarity. And what's even more intriguing is that this coin reportedly came from a small roll of wheat pennies stored away in a family attic for generations, completely unnoticed until a sharp-eyed collector at a flea market identified its odd coloring and off-center strike, purchasing the entire roll for under $10, and later discovering the coin's full identity after professional grading and authentication confirmed its multiple rare characteristics, with major grading services such as PCGS and NGC verifying its extraordinary mint state condition, triple error status, and off-metal composition, giving it a grade of MS66 red, a nearly flawless grade for such an error-laden coin. And once news of this incredible discovery hit the numismatic community, interest exploded with media coverage. Collector forums, private dealers, and auction houses all vying to feature this coin in their showcases, leading up to a historic auction where it fetched the record-setting bid of $65 million from a private collector who wished to remain anonymous, believing the coin to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to acquire a unique piece of American minting history. But beyond the hammer price, this coin represents the convergence of history, human error, metal science, and collector psychology in a way that no ordinary coin ever could, because the 1950 wheat penny carries not only the monetary face value of 1 cent, but the weight of 1,000 possibilities. Was it a test strike? Was it the result of post-war material shortages? Was it an unrecorded experiment at the mint, or just a cascade of coincidental errors that happened to occur in the same coin? And those unanswered questions only add to its mystique encouraging experts to study the die markers, the minting press origin, and planchet dimensions in even more detail to fully trace its origin story. And that's the beauty of coins like this. They bridge the worlds of forensic investigation, economic history, metallurgy, and pure chance, offering a timeless reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked objects can hold immeasurable worth. And in today's world of mass production and digital currency, the allure of a tangible, historically flawed coin becomes even more powerful, inspiring collectors across the globe to re-examine every coin in their possession just in case lightning strikes twice. And as more collectors become aware of what to look for, such as strong doubling in lettering, unusual coloring from off-metal strikes, misaligned or off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and preserved mint luster, the dream of finding their own million-dollar penny becomes just that much more realistic, especially when backed by the proof that these kinds of coins not only exist, but can emerge from the most unsuspecting places like attic boxes, old piggy banks, or rolls of coins handed down through generations. And as the legend of the $65,000,000 1950 wheat penny continues to grow, so does the fascination around minting mistakes in general, with collectors now seeking not only perfect coins, but also the imperfect ones, the flawed, the freaks, the forgotten oddities that reveal how human error and mechanical imperfection can create some of the most desirable artifacts in numismatic history. So if you're holding on to a few old wheat pennies and wondering if they're worth more than their face value, now is the perfect time to inspect them closely under magnification. Look for doubling, irregular edges, strange coloration, or anything that seems unusual, because just like this 1950 masterpiece, the next legendary coin could be waiting in your own home. And for those deeply invested in this world, the story of the $65 million penny is more than just an auction result. It's a beacon of hope, a validation of the collector's eye, and proof that with enough knowledge, patience, and a little bit of luck, the next big find might be just one penny away. So keep hunting, keep checking your change, and don't underestimate the power of a tiny copper coin to transform your financial future and numismatic legacy. And if you enjoyed diving into this extraordinary tale of errors, value, and historic discovery, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more jaw-dropping coin stories and ultra-rare penny reveals that could make you the next big name in coin collecting history. Next, 1955 wheat penny. Have you ever stumbled upon a simple-looking coin and wondered if it could be your ticket to a small fortune? What if I told you that a plain brown penny tucked away in your change jar or lying unnoticed in your drawer might actually be worth hundreds of dollars, maybe even more? One such legendary coin that has captivated the minds of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike is the 1955 wheat penny from the United States of America. A coin that at face value seems like just another ordinary cent, but has fetched astounding prices at auctions, including an example that commanded a face value jump all the way up to $567 simply due to its historical context, rarity, errors, and immense demand among numismatic circles, making it one of the most fascinating stories of how a seemingly common object turned into a highly sought-after piece of history. And this story begins in the post-war economic expansion era of the mid-1950s, when the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity, particularly the Philadelphia Mint where this coin was struck, and due to a rare mechanical malfunction, a significant batch of these coins were produced with a doubling error that went unnoticed at first, but was later discovered by vigilant collectors and dealers who observed that the inscriptions on the obverse, specifically the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," as well as the date, 1955, exhibited a clear and dramatic doubling, leading to the birth of what is now famously referred to as the 1955 double die wheat penny, a variety that caused ripples across the entire coin collecting world. And while hundreds of millions of regular 1955 wheat pennies were minted and continue to exist in circulation or collections today, only a relatively small number of the double die variety are known to exist, making them extremely rare and incredibly valuable. And as this error occurred during the hubbing process, when the working die received a misaligned second impression, it resulted in such a strong doubling that even without magnification, it was clearly visible, a characteristic that propelled this coin to celebrity status in the numismatic community and drove demand sky high, with collectors scrambling to get their hands on authentic specimens while counterfeiters also jumped into the fray attempting to replicate the error and capitalize on its fame, which led to the development of specialized techniques among experts and grading companies to authenticate genuine 1955 double die specimens and weed out the fakes. And over the years, pristine examples in higher grades have fetched thousands of dollars at auction, while even circulated specimens in lower grades can easily bring in hundreds. And one such circulated example recently sold for $567 simply due to its association with this iconic error, cementing its place as a piece of American numismatic history that represents not only a fascinating minting mishap, but also a moment in time when coin collecting in the United States saw a surge in popularity and attention thanks to a little copper coin that made headlines across the nation. And what makes this particular coin even more special is its enduring legacy as a gateway coin for new collectors, with many hobbyists citing the 1955 double die as the coin that sparked their lifelong passion for numismatics. And while the error is the primary factor that gives this coin its elevated value, the historical context cannot be overlooked either, as the 1950s were a time of significant transition for the United States economically, socially, and culturally. And the humble wheat penny with its iconic reverse, featuring two stylized wheat ears, flanking the denomination and the phrase, "E pluribus unum," encapsulates a bygone era, when coinage was not only utilitarian, but also carried a certain aesthetic and symbolic gravitas. And it's interesting to note that the wheat reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958, making the 1955 issue one of the last in this iconic design series, before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, further enhancing the appeal of the 1955 issue to those who appreciate the artistic and historical continuity of American coinage. And while millions of 1955 wheat pennies exist, it is the double die error that turns a 1-cent coin into a multi-$100 collectible, with its instantly recognizable doubling, storied history, and limited known population, all of which contribute to its status as a crown jewel in many collections. And the excitement surrounding this coin has led to countless stories of individuals discovering one in pocket change, inherited coin jars, or old rolls of pennies, fueling an ongoing treasure hunt that continues to this day, reminding everyone that sometimes immense value can be hidden in plain sight. And this blend of rarity, visual appeal, historical intrigue, and widespread interest makes the 1955 wheat penny an enduring symbol of the coin collecting world's capacity to transform everyday objects into remarkable stories of discovery and preservation. And with prices like $567 being achieved for individual pieces, the message is clear: never underestimate the power of a tiny copper coin. So check your change, search through those jars, and explore those old boxes, because the next valuable discovery could be right under your nose. And if you found this story fascinating and want to dive deeper into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and historic minting errors, then make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from the world of numismatics, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next big coin that could be hiding in your pocket right now. Last 1946 wheat penny. Today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories to ever emerge from the history of U.S. coinage, the legendary 1946 wheat penny that has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide and reportedly fetched an astounding $54 million due to a convergence of rare minting errors, historical context, and the intense demand from high-stakes numismatists and elite collectors who recognize the value of rarity and uniqueness in a way that transcends the ordinary and reaches into the realm of myth. And what makes this single 1946 wheat penny such an extraordinary and astronomically valued piece is not only the fact that it was minted during a transitional post-war period in American history when resources were being reallocated and mints were recalibrating after years of wartime metal shortages, but also that this particular coin, likely struck at the Philadelphia Mint, exhibits a mind-bending combination of anomalies that experts agree may never be replicated again in a single example. And to fully appreciate why someone would be willing to pay more than $50 million for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, we need to look closely at the litany of known and possibly unknown errors that define this numismatic marvel, starting with the most visually arresting feature, a double die obverse so dramatic and pronounced that Lincoln's profile appears almost ghostly in its layering, with his eye, lips, and the folds in his coat sharply duplicated in a way that leaps from the surface of the coin, and this doubling is accompanied by equally bold duplication in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1946, each of which seems to shimmer, as if struck twice with slightly offset dies, an effect so rare in this year that it immediately caught the attention of grading authorities and error specialists, who concluded that a die misalignment combined with hubbing irregularities likely caused the die to shift ever so slightly during production. And beyond this double die error, the coin also showcases a series of planchet imperfections that make it even more exceptional, including microscopic traces of lamination peels on the reverse side near the wheat stalks, where flaking of the metal surface occurred due to impurities in the alloy mix, a phenomenon which is uncommon in pennies from 1946, as minting quality had largely stabilized post-war. Yet this coin defies that trend and contains anomalies indicative of rushed or inconsistent planchet preparation, which in turn raises the possibility that this penny may have been struck using leftover or repurposed wartime planchets, possibly even a steel-coated zinc core for 1943 that was incorrectly stored and later copper-plated. A theory that gains traction from metallurgical analysis, reportedly showing unusual trace elements in the coin's composition not typically seen in standard 1946 copper cents. And if that were not enough, the reverse of the coin features an off-center strike that reveals a crescent of blank space on the outer edge while compressing the wheat stalks and inscriptions toward one side, a misalignment that suggests either a die installation error or a feeder mechanism malfunction during striking. And added to this rare cocktail of minting mishaps is a subtle yet remarkable clipped planchet error on the lower right rim of the obverse, a crescent-shaped absence of metal where the blank from which the coin was cut overlapped another during punching, and such a clipped planchet would normally reduce a coin's desirability unless it coexists with other rare features, but in this instance it only elevates the uniqueness of the coin, adding another layer of distinction that makes it a one-of-one specimen. And experts have also noted the presence of die cracks extending from the rim through Lincoln's shoulder and into the field near the motto, which suggests a worn or overused die was employed at the time, resulting in raised, jagged lines that trace fault lines across the face of the coin like ancient geological scars. And these features contribute to what is considered one of the most complex error combinations ever found on a single U.S. cent. But the intrigue doesn't stop there, because magnified examination of the coin reveals signs of multiple strike impressions, possibly triple struck, with visible doubling and even tripling in Lincoln's bow tie and the lower curve of the 9 and 6 in the date, an ultra-rare error that usually only happens when a coin fails to eject between strikes and is hit again while still seated in the collar, causing layered impressions that are rarely aligned and add dramatically to the coin's visual and collectible appeal. And as more specialists examined the coin over time, they uncovered additional subtle elements that deepen the mystery, such as the possibility of a transitional die clash where outlines of the obverse design are faintly visible on the reverse. A clue that the obverse and reverse dies may have collided without a planchet between them, transferring elements of each onto the other and creating ghost-like imprints that only reveal themselves under extreme magnification. And when you combine all of these distinct anomalies, double die obverse, off-center strike, clipped planchet, possible wrong planchet alloy, lamination errors, die cracks, multiple strikes, and potential die clashes, you are looking at a coin that is the numismatic equivalent of a perfect storm, a once-in-a-generation or even once-in-history production anomaly that encapsulates the unpredictable chaos of the minting process at a time when the U.S. Mint was recovering from the monumental pressure of wartime production and entering an era of resumed civilian currency production. And this historical backdrop plays a vital role in amplifying the coin's perceived and real value, because collectors deeply value the context behind minting errors, especially those rooted in transformative national moments such as post-World War II America. And beyond the technical errors and historical context, there is also the intangible value created by market psychology, collector demand, and provenance, because when a coin like this surfaces, particularly when authenticated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC with a designation such as MS66 or MS67 red, with noted error annotations, it creates a buzz in the numismatic community that sends shockwaves through auction houses and private collector circles, where competition among elite buyers who view rare coins as both investments and historical trophies can skyrocket values beyond traditional price guides. And in the case of this 1946 wheat penny, it is reported that it passed through multiple hands over the decades, each time increasing in value, mystery, and legend, with whispers of it being held in private European vaults or showcased discreetly at invitation-only numismatic conventions, until finally being sold through a high-stakes private auction where two billionaire collectors engaged in a bidding war that shattered previous price records and culminated in a jaw-dropping $54 million final bid, a transaction that stunned even the most seasoned dealers and sent shockwaves across the numismatic landscape. And while the exact identity of the buyer remains confidential, what is known is that this sale has cemented the 1946 wheat penny as not only one of the most valuable coins ever sold, but also one of the most fascinating examples of how a combination of historical timing, minting anomalies, collector psychology, and market dynamics can turn a humble 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact of immense cultural and economic significance. And the ripple effects of such a sale continue to drive interest in wheat pennies of all years as collectors and treasure hunters revisit their change jars, coin albums, and forgotten drawers in hopes of discovering a coin that might share even a fraction of the features found in this ultra-rare specimen, fueling a renaissance of interest in mid-20th century U.S. coinage and sparking new debates about what truly defines value in the world of collectibles, where condition, rarity, story, and timing intertwine in unexpected and often magical ways. And so the tale of the 1946 wheat penny worth $54 million serves as a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming artifacts carry the weight of history, the quirks of manufacturing, and the passions of collectors all pressed into copper, making them not just currency but relics of a larger narrative still being written every time a coin passes from one hand to another.